need to learn that coaching is going to help me if we have the right coach. Cristiano Ronaldo is the best example, who has been coached in all areas of his life, although he's been the GOAT or the second GOAT, best player in the world. And that's why we have built Wellavi, to bring the right coach to you and really build a plan for yourself to
empowering success in wellness and well-being coaching.
CEO of Wellavi,
Abdeslam Afras.
The elder generations have been working much harder without looking after themselves, and I think that has transitioned into saying, I want to feel good. And the need is everywhere to make coaching, personal development, as accessible and as affordable as possible to everyone. It shouldn't be a luxury. So that's why we built the 6 dimensions, which, if I'm allowed to.
Today, I'm talking to Abdes Afras, and he's the CEO of Wellavi, which is a wellness coaching app. Very important topic. Wellness is something CEOs really need to focus on to be performant and successful. So, Abdes, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here. Very excited.
Yeah. It took a while. I mean, we met a year ago, but a year ago you just started up with Wellavi. You basically set the foundation and been working hard for the last 12 months. And now it's the time to really show Wellavi to the world and talk about what you are achieving with the platform. And this is why now is also a good time to have this conversation.
Great. It's almost 2 years now. So we met over a year, that's true. And it was a long journey, but it definitely was needed. That time was needed to build Wellavi.
Things always take longer than expected.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's true.
So tell us a little bit about Wellavi. So what is it about? Why wellness, and what is your mission?
Yeah, sure. Wellavi is here to, as we say, guide people to better tomorrows. And also what Wellavi means good life. And it's here to help people to, when it comes to coaching, personal development, and professional development, to help them find the right coach, find the right content, and really build a plan for yourself to be the better version of yourself. And when we looked into this space, we saw a lot of players, good players, but that we want obviously not to be me too. We want to be different.
Yes.
And the way we want to do things different is in being a marketplace, and many are marketplaces, but we brought 6 dimensions of well-being together onto one platform. And I specifically say well-being because being in Germany, I feel like when you say wellness, our people in Germany think always you talk about a massage or a sauna. Sauna, yes. So
exactly.
Well-being makes way more sense also if you translate that into German. But when I looked into this and with all the analysis and research we have done, it's post-COVID. We see a lot of need in that space.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that before COVID, it was not needed. So it's a huge market, and for good reason. People looking more after themselves. They want to have a good life. And the elder generations have been working much harder without looking after themselves. And I think that has transitioned into saying, I want to feel good. And when you do that and you go to a platform, there are a bunch of challenges in that space. So how do I find my right coach? Because we are in the digital world. So the chemistry is difficult to transform through a camera, although it's getting better and better. But we looked into that, and why is it always career? Career is important, but the career is one part of your life. So that's why we built the 6 dimensions, which, if I'm allowed to, it's professional growth, which is your career. It's financial stability. Not every platform talks about financial stability. It is really important because that is part of your well-being. Social connections, especially post-COVID. We see more and more people being hesitant in meeting people, although things are getting better now. But social connections are really important for our well-being. And that's friends, colleagues, your relationship to your partners, etc. So then we move into intellectual stimulation. We ignore our other half of the brain. So most of us just use the left side of our brains. So you don't get stimulated in reading a book or being creative. And I use that as an example with Excel. If you look at Excel, most people just utilize 1 to 2% of Excel. You can do way more. And that's the same with our brains. That's why we wanted to bring this also into our offerings. And then moving into mental health. We are fighting a mental health crisis. And the last one in this puzzle, or in this hexagon, we've built a hexagon as our logo for the 6 dimensions, is physical well-being. And all 6 dimensions are linked to each other. So that's one difference that we are bringing into this space to say, come to Wellavi, and it doesn't matter what it is that's bothering you or taking you through challenges, it will be available on Wellavi.
I like this holistic approach because, I always use this wheel of life, which is a well-known tool in the coaching industry, where you basically take this wheel and split this into different sections, and every section represents one part of your life. Like you did, the mental well-being, financial aspect, career, friends and family, and so on. And you can only thrive with speed and stability through life if this wheel is basically well-rounded, and you don't have just one area of life which is going very well and the rest is going not so well. And there's a wheel which is not being able to thrive with speed and stability. This is why holistic approaches are very important. And this is what obviously Wellavi is representing with your 6 dimensions. So which area you think is the most important area for your customers? They often probably come with one topic to you, and then they realize, there's more in life I need to take care of. There's more I need to focus on to feel well and to have an enjoyable life.
It's a great question, but at the same time, it's difficult to answer that question, because that's why things are changing into the holistic approach. If it's just from the perspective of an employer, HR or C-level, you would say, I just want to help you with your career. But that's been the challenge, or what's been doing, people were doing wrong in just doing something like what you just said. If you want to keep the balance, and if you keep coaching someone on career, on someone who is suffering mental health issues or physical issues or even financial, that would just have an impact sooner or later. It will have impact on your professional growth or your job. And that's why it has shifted, that employers really like the holistic approach, because you want to have, I don't know if you can really call it a happy, but a satisfied employee who loves working in this organization. I don't like to say loves working for you, because this is a give and take, right? It's a partnership. And this is where things start. But typically you see the most budgets in the past were allocated to professional growth, especially on the executive coaching side, which has been one reason why I built Wellavi, because I thought when I was younger, when I was 20, this is the time I would have needed coaching.
Yes, and there was nothing available.
There was nothing available. Instead, when I became an executive, then all of a sudden there was budget available for me. And I compare this to, I always use this analogy to a golf player who played and played and played until they became a professional. And then you say, hey, what about coaching session to fine tune your swing? So, and that's why we've built Wellavi, and the customers we're working with, what they not only that like about Wellavi, the 6 dimensions, we've built 3 areas of coaching, which is life coaching, which most people know could be expensive. We have coaches from $50 to $1,000 an hour. And then we have the second section, which is called self-coaching, very affordable. And we work with our coaches who build the programs and sessions and content. And then the third part is your AI coach, which is very powerful. For some people, it's scary, but it is very helpful. And all together is where we see the benefit. And here's what the difference is to my generation being X. The younger generations, Gen Zs and millennials, they also sit now on C-level as well as HR. So they know that they want to have a work-life balance, and they know if they allow their employees to use platforms like Wellavi to just get to their balance. That's why we see a lot on mental health, but we see a lot of people interested in the financial dimension because we want to stabilize that.
Exactly. This is so important. I have 2 kids. Yeah, they go to school here, and they hardly learn anything in school about financial literacy based on the knowledge they get from school. They wouldn't be able to invest, build their financial future, understand the stock market, and understand how to save and invest and make money. I think this is a very important topic, and offering coaching in this space is essential, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. And then when you see the challenges you have in this space needs to be destigmatized. And that's a pretty big challenge because people think I don't need coaching. But then if you look at
There's nothing wrong with me,
Exactly. Yeah, I don't need it. It's not therapy, but even nothing wrong with therapy. So if you get to the point, and because I love soccer/football, my American friends will love me saying soccer, but for me it's football. Cristiano Ronaldo is the best example, who has been coached in all areas of his life, although he's been, need to be careful, the GOAT or the second GOAT, the best player in the world. So we need to learn that coaching is going to help me if we have the right coach. And that's why we have built Wellavi. We want to help to bring the right coach to you. And that's what we have built. We've built a self-assessment that's based on colors and shapes, so to make users select intuitively and not multiple choice. Also, nothing wrong with multiple choice, but we as human beings, we tend to cheat. Sounds negative, but we just select something that's not us, hoping for better results. That's not possible with our assessment. It's just shapes and colors. It's very powerful. And we're working with a psychologist who's been using this test for decades. And in the big five, whoever is familiar with that, it will ring a bell. But it's very powerful, helps. And we use that, which we call True Self on the user side and True Coach on the coach side, 64 traits on each side, and we do the matching. Very powerful. And your coach could be, if there's no language barrier, the coach could be if you live in Italy, your coach could be in Canada, right? Wherever. So that's one of the things we've built, and that's why it took us longer than, obviously it always takes longer than planned, but that's why it took us longer, because we have brought a lot of technology into the human being world.
Like Tony Robbins always says, you always underestimate what you can achieve in a year, but you also underestimate what you can achieve in a decade.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good man.
Very interesting. Yeah, and digitalization is opening up so many possibilities to connect with people all over the world. And I completely agree. Coaching is a very important service. I mean, also coaches and people who are successful. I mean, I have coaches. I ask for advice. I coach people, and it's something where we all can grow and we all can develop together and leveraging these platforms. And I really like this concept of your tests or your systematic approach to match personalities based on something else than multiple choice questions. Because I completely agree. Whenever I fill out something, I said, yeah, why should I answer that? Maybe if I give this answer, then I have a higher ranking.
Yeah, I think a combination is good, but it's also a fun part when you come to our platform, because I wanted something that take people by their hands and say, okay, now do this. We also can show you, or not us as human, but the assessment can show you the two dimensions that the assessment things are in disbalance. And then we show you that. It's just a recommendation. And then we recommend the coaches who are specialized in this area. So another thing, we don't let any coach on our platform to be coaching in all 6 dimensions. That doesn't make sense to me, right? You need to be specialized, and that's what we are making sure. It's a very detailed process before we let any coach on our platform.
Interesting. So you are a global operating company. Can you tell us a little bit about how many coaches have you in your portfolio? What are the countries in the world where you see the biggest demand for your services?
Great question. And I love that question for one good reason, because we have a vision, but I also have a mission to make coaching, personal development, as accessible and as affordable as possible, basically to everyone. So, but we are a US-based company, and we started in the US, and at the moment we're looking at roughly 1,000 coaches on our platform. And we launched US, we launched South Africa, India, and now we're starting Germany next to follow our Australia and UK. And the need is everywhere. So it's not it's not a luxury, it shouldn't be a luxury to have coaching. That's why we have built our on-demand center, or the self-coaching part, which is much cheaper for non-management, if you will. We have clients, they want to roll out to all the employees, because it's not only life coaching, it's a combination. And incentivizing that process, because you can also use that as your learning and development tool, incentivizing through our gamification. Because if you push trainings or coaching, recorded coaching sessions and challenges into your employees, you can have them go through a challenge as well as a gamification that will allow them to earn points, basically use them for life coaching. So in the end, to make also life coaching available to everyone. But the need we see is US is the biggest market, but you would be surprised how big South Africa is. 60 million people, but everyone wants to have a good life, and it starts in balancing your life in all the 6 dimensions.
Yeah. And I think, especially in times of uncertainty, and you mentioned Corona, yeah, and it sort of started with Corona, the first biggest or larger crisis our generation experienced, yeah, in our lifetime, and followed by war, by political situation. And 2024 will be a very interesting year with all the elections and changes in the political landscape, which is something where people really need to work on their mental health, on their resilience, to be able to handle changing situations. And for that, having a platform available, offering these support in these 6 dimensions is very essential and helps people to get over certain stages in life.
That's true.
When you build such a platform, where are the challenges? I mean, there are probably technology challenges, putting the questionnaire and the system in place. But what else took so much time for you to create this company?
Murphy's Law is everywhere. And things go wrong when you think you can start, you can launch, and then you push it again by a month, another month, and another month, and you're frustrated. But in the end, it makes sense, and that's the feedback we're receiving from specifically from our coaches, that it's a very stable platform, and it brings a lot of components together. Start with the assessment that has 64 traits. It's based on colors and shapes. It needs to build an assessment or a profile of each person, then match that with machine learning / AI. Some of it is AI. And then to build a mobile app, because it's needed. It needs to build a landing page for the coaches. The assessment itself has culture differences between the countries and time zones, because you have developers all around the world. And then underestimating building a platform. Definitely lessons learned for me, being the CEO and founder, having a vision and thinking, well, in 3 months we can. It's like when you buy a house, or you think we're going to renovate, we're going to move in 3 months. It's definitely going to be 1 year and 3 months. And that was similar when we built Wellavi. Especially when you look for a name, it takes you a while, because you think you need to be associated with that name. That's going to make things easier. But things changed dramatically when we started to talk to coaches and users. Because then we thought, okay, we need to do things differently.
Reality kicks in.
It's much better now to, when I see look at the product and platform, all the components we brought together are making so much sense now. And it's for people in theory. So people need to see and use it and then confirm that it's exactly how we are describing it. But that was the biggest challenge, to bring 20 different components together and then develop them. But it was an interesting journey.
What about financial? Have you worked with investors, business angels? How did you finance this whole?
It's 2023, as most startups will know, was one of the toughest years. Unfortunately, a lot of startups went bankrupt or had to let people go for various reasons. But and we're very lucky to have business angels and 2 of my business partners who believe in Wellavi and kept investing in the business. But what I've done is, and that's my benefit, not only my sales background, but also my technology background. I'm a technologist. So we kept the team quite small, because we have automated so many things on the platform. And that's, if you would ask me from an investor point of view, it's one of the biggest benefits and advantages of Wellavi, because even the coaching or application process is 90% automated until we get to the assessment or viewing the applications. But yeah, you need to get to a point where you generate enough revenue that helps you to bring bigger venture capitals or even private equity, because that is, Wellavi has a big potential, and that's not only making money. We all want to make money, but we have other plans with Wellavi, like to take Wellavi into universities and schools. That's going to be a very helpful tool. A lot of students are struggling because they're just either afraid of the next step of their lives, or, as you said, wars, catastrophes, and everything is not helpful for your mental health. And I think the world has been underestimating, speaking of underestimation or underestimating things, is burnout, right? I think when you and I start to get BlackBerries in our jobs, we thought we are cool. But what happened was, and one of my colleagues at that time said, I don't think this is cool. You're just closing the gap between leaving the office and going to bed, right? And this is where burnout actually starts. And we need to take this, and everyone who's been working very hard will agree that in the end, doesn't really help to work 18 hours. You need to see what's good for your life, because if you have a good work-life balance, you will definitely be more productive. And that's what we're doing, and that's how we got our investors who believe in that.
Yeah, and I really like when you mentioned automation. I mean, nowadays, there's so many opportunities to leverage automation, to leverage AI, to make your life easier, to be more effective, have more impact. And implementing this into a business should be the number one focus of all the CEOs, to really see, okay, where can I automate processes to take mundane tasks away from my employees, that they really can focus on value creation and important things and not repetitive work, which we all have done in the past, which actually is also one reason why people end up in a burnout, because they don't enjoy anymore what they do. They are on this hamster wheel of repetitive and training tasks, and leveraging automation, leveraging AI, which helps them overstepping these challenges and really focusing on value creation and important tasks. Very important.
But there was an article recently on LinkedIn discussing how good my boss is, and that's why I stay in that company. But what's wrong with that is, and of course it makes sense, we always want to stay with people we like and who have respected us, but it starts with the culture and the core values of a company. So if your C-level or your executive team has a toxic environment, how do we expect them to educate your employees? So from top down. So if it's toxic top, it will be toxic with the rest of your people. So what we think is, if we really want to have some sustainability and enforce our culture and even value proposition, because if you have 1,000 employees and the CEO would just interview every employee, you might get 950 or 900 or 999 different versions. That's okay as long as it makes sense to customer, and then the quintessence is the same. But I think what happens is, if you start your leadership team being only in charge of culture, it will change by the time it gets to your employee, right? And with our self-coaching programs, what we have done is our clients, whether it's HR or it's the CEO itself, they can create recorded sessions that are very, very interactive. This is the consulting bit for your own employees. Why do you always think you just hire your people and they will deliver what they have promised to do for me? That's one of the mistakes. But if you use our tools that allows you to really send the message out there on a regular basis and let your people go through it on a regular basis, and the same, that's the way we got to, and you see that for the companies have been very successful, where the CEO is very not only approachable but available, open door policies and everything. This is what post-COVID has changed. Obviously, open door policies are a bit difficult if you're not in the same building, the same office. So, and this is our mission, really, to bring this back. Where my first mentor I met And when just try to get a coffee and then start talking, it's not possible anymore, at least not as it was at that time. And I'm so confident that we can help all organizations to help their people to be happier. It's all about retention in the end. You want your people to stay with you.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, when I started 25, 30 years ago, we all worked in an office building. I mean, I had projects with clients, but still you engage with people having a coffee, you meet people, you build relationships by being there, by spending time together. And now I see this as a big challenge for young people who join a company. They are often 50%, 60%, or maybe 100% remote. Yeah. And how do they build these relationships? How do they make friends? And how do CEOs, how can they transfer these ideas, their mission to all these employees? As you said, leveraging technology, sending out messages, sharing their vision and mission, and engaging in a digital space really helps. Yeah. And it's the way we need to do this nowadays, because we don't have this close proximity anymore.
It's not going to change. I mean, unless you enforce your people to come back to the offices, but still you can read articles everywhere in each country is, how do I motivate my people, right? How do we motivate ourselves as CEO and founders? It's our business. We have no choice. So we know it's hard to motivate yourself. So imagine if it's an employee who just think, okay, if they don't care about myself, why would I care about the company? And this is where I say it's not, I never work for someone. I work with them. It's a team, and that's the only way you can get to a successful company.
It's a partnership.
Yep.
It's not this top-down anymore, which you had in the past. And you see, I mean, you mentioned articles, you mentioned office policies or work from home. I mean, you see a few companies trying to pull people back to the office, not by creating an atmosphere or giving them benefits or telling them why it's important. No, they basically order them. You are ordered now back to the office 4 days a week, which is the wrong approach. People want to decide where to work. They want to create their own environment, and this will backfire in the long run.
Yeah, it's trust. It all starts with trust, but you can build trust if you show that you care. And this is why things have changed from just offering trainings for a certain product because you think it's important for your business. Now people see the holistic approach that we've talked about already. So on that, and I'm very excited to see more and more companies, for those we talk to, think, okay, we would like to invest in this space. How do we make sure our people really use your platform? It's another challenge. Right? You cannot just come here and say, our tool is the biggest and the best and everything else you can forget. It's stickiness. It is engagement. You want your people, your employees to be engaged. If you have 100 employees, you can bring them into one room once a week. You can motivate them. Could be helpful and do some teamwork, which are very important. But if you have 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 employees, that's impossible. And it gives you a feeling of I'm part of this business, right? It's all about, one of my colleagues years ago used to say, teamwork makes the dream work. And whoever's dream it is, you cannot achieve that on your own. You definitely need the people you've hired for that. And I have just released a video talking about the WHO study from last year and the year before, where the economy globally loses 12 billion workdays a year, which results into $1 trillion loss.
It's crazy. Yeah.
And that's just because of anxiety and stress. What's happening there is people feel very unwell for whatever reasons, because pressure and so on. They either don't go to work because they're sick or ill, so there's no productivity, or they go to work because they're scared of losing their jobs, but the same result, they're not going to be productive. So, and this is why I see I moved myself out of a very safe place. I was in the forensic space for 12 years. And I could have stayed there and just wait until I retire. But I looked into, in all the 12 years, and I was privileged to travel around the world. I've seen so many nice places. But I met people, whether it was at a bar or wherever it was, that you then really see. You can never look inside them. But they all have, as we say in German, they're all carrying their own package. which could be smaller and bigger.
Emotional packages.
Emotional
exactly.
package. And then with a drink, they start to tell you how they feel. And so in some cases, it's horrible. And that's my mission to say, why? It's also possible to grow your business. Actually, it's even better to grow your business if you invest in your people, but properly.
I love this. Hey, you're launching in Germany, you said. What is the timeline? What can we expect for the German listeners?
So for Germany, hello, zusammen, Germany. I'm based here, although we're a US-based company, but thanks to globalization, you can sit anywhere. And Germany's, if I'm not mistaken, the 5th biggest well-being country in the world. Obviously, we are the biggest economy in Europe. I know my UK friends hate me saying that, but UK is not part of Europe, so I can now say that. But we are bringing a lot. So we bring German coaches, obviously, because I know all our friends here and people in Germany speak good English. But for every country, we want to make sure it's their native language because it's something personal, something intimate. And that's why we're in the process of hiring or contracting with a lot of German coaches in all the 6 dimensions. In parallel, we're bringing, that's obviously for all our customers, we're bringing new technology to it for both for users as well as employers. We're creating very powerful dashboards for our clients to show what's happening in your organization, what's the happiness, what's the retention, what's burnout rate. Very powerful. On the user side, we're going to bring all the wearable devices data to your own individual dashboard that you can see your heartbeat, you can see all your challenges, you can actually run challenges through all 6 dimensions. And that is why Wellavi is called Good Life, because it brings all the 6 dimensions together, and everything you need to do your personal and professional development is available there. And Wellavi is a creation with 2 languages. So well, obviously, and I wanted to keep the word well in it. It's English, and Avi is French for life. So Wellavi means good life, and for the French people, we say Avi needs an E at the end. Yeah, I know that. We didn't want to use the E because the VI at the end stands for Roman numerical 6 for our 6 dimensions. So happy place, although happiness is, as we all know, is a moment. I want people to be satisfied with their lives and their jobs and not just waking up. And I would say every one of us had the time where they woke up in the morning and thought, I don't want to go to work today. That can be changed with Wellavi.
We all want a good life, so let's check out Wellavi. Abdes, thank you so much for your time. I can only wish you all the best with your important mission to change all of our lives to the better. And let's see how this develops, and maybe we can have another session in half a year or so to see how Wellavi has grown. Thanks a lot.
I'd love to. Thank you very much for inviting me, and really enjoyed it, and all the best for you as well.
Thank you for tuning into the High Performance CEO Show. I'm your host, Sebastian Schieke, and it's been a pleasure serving you. Please subscribe to our show on your favorite platform and leave us a review. Your support helps us reach more listeners and create a bigger impact. Check out our website, sebastianschieke.com, for additional resources. Until next time, be bold, be exceptional, be outstanding, be a leader.